learning target today, I will be able to evaluate equivalent ratios involving more than using proportions. The given problem. The ratio of people who own a car to the number of people who own a truck is 6 to 4. If 400 more people own cars than trucks, how many people own each type of vehicle? So we have our 6 to 4 and 400 more people. Step 1, we're going to make a table of information with labels. It's extremely important, again, to continue to label your tables. So the cars ratio is 6 to the trucks ratio of 4. I have a C and a T, and you will notice I have a new category here in my table, and it is difference today. It's not total. So the difference is where we will put our more than information from the problem, and this time we will subtract our two ratios, and that's where we get the difference in the ratio, which is 2. Step 2, we're going to set up a proportion using the necessary information. Now, this time it says that we want to know how many people own each type of vehicle, which means I'm going to need 2 proportions to solve this. First proportion would come from the top boxes and the bottom boxes. So I have 6 over 2 equals C over 400. The next set of information for my next proportion would come from the center box and the bottom box. So we would have 4 over 2 equals T over 400. Step 3, we will cross multiply. So the only difference from today from the day before was that we are actually pulling our information from 2 parts of the table, as well as we are using difference. Cross multiplying will be solved the same way. So we are going to start with the 6 over 2 equals C over 400. Locate the 2 numbers along the diagonal. We will multiply those, and we will set those equal to the other side of the diagonal that has the variable. We will multiply 400 times 6. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 4 is 2,400. 2,400 equals 2C. I will then divide both sides by the 2 to get the variable by itself. 2,400 divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 once. Bring down the 4. 2 goes into 4 twice. Bring down the zeros. 2 does not go into 0. Put a 0 up. Bring the next 0 down. 2 does not go into 0. Bring the 0 up. 1,200 cars. And now I'm going to set up the other proportion of 4 over 2 equals T over 400 to find out the number of trucks. Find the diagonal. 400 times 4 equals 2T. 400 times 4. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. 1,600 equals 2T. Divide both sides by the 2. 1,600 divided by 2. 800 trucks. And just do a double check. 1,200 minus 800, does that equal 400? Yes, it does. Given, the Speedy Fast Ski Resort has started to keep track of the number of skiers and snowboarders who bought season passes. The ratio of the number of skiers who bought season passes to the number of snowboarders who bought season passes is 1 to 2. If 1,250 more snowboarders bought season passes than skiers, how many snowboarders and how many skiers bought season passes? So I've already started the table with skiers, snowboarders, and difference. So the skiers are 1 to 2 for the ratio, and the difference between 2 and 1 is 1. And over in the difference, we have 1,250 for that amount. So I have skiers and snowboarders, so I'm going to use a K and an N because they both start with an S. And now I'm going to use my proportions. So I'm going to find the skiers and the difference. So we have 1 over 1 equals K over 1,250. The next information for the proportion is 2 over 1 equals N over 1,250. Now I will cross multiply. 1,250 times 1 equals 1K. 1,250 times 1 equals 1,250. And when I divide everything by 1, I'm left with the same number, 1,250. So there are 1,250 skiers. And now I will cross multiply to find the snowboarders. 1,250 times 2 equals 1N. Multiply 1,250 times 2, 2,500 equals 1N. Divide both sides by 1, and I'm left with 2,500 for the snowboarders. Checking to make sure that the difference is what I started with in the original problem, 0 minus 0, need to borrow, 10 minus 5, 4 minus 2, 2 minus 1. It checks. This last problem, we have a blank table that we're going to fill in together. The ratio of the number of adults to the number of students at the prom has to be 1 to 10. Last year, there were 477 more students than adults at the prom. If the school is expecting the same attendance this year, how many adults have to attend the prom? So, we have adults and students are in a ratio of 1 to 10. So, adults, students, 1 to 10. We have our difference. 10 minus 1 is 9. The difference from the problem up above, 477 more. So we're going to fill in our 477. Now we have our A for our adults and our S for students. And you can use any variable that you want. I usually just try to use the first initial of each of the words that you're given that you're trying to solve. So we have adults information. To set up the first proportion, so we have 1 over 9 equals A over 477. And then we will need the student information, 10 over S. Equals not 10 over S, it's 10 over 9 equals S over 477. Okay, now we're going to cross multiply with the first one. 477 times 1 equals 9a. 477 times 1 is 477 equals 9a. Divide both sides by 9. 477 divided by 9. 9 does not go into 4. 9 goes into 47 5 times. Bring down the 2, or subtract, get a 2, bring down the 7. 9 goes into 27 3 times. We're left with A equals 53. So there are 53 adults. Now I'm going to solve for the students. 477 times 10 equals 9x. 477 times 10 4,770 equals 9x. I'm going to divide both sides by 9. I'm left with S equals 9 does not go into 4. 9 goes into 47 5 times. Bring down the 7. 9 goes into 7. 9 goes into 27 3 times. 9 does not go into 0, but I need a 0 up as a placeholder. There are 530 students. Placing that in my table and making sure that I have solved them correctly by checking the difference of those two numbers. 10 minus 3 is 7. Cannot take 5 from 1, borrow from the 5. 11 minus 5 is 6. Oh, that should be a 12, sorry. 10 minus 3 is 7. 12 minus 5 is 7. 4 minus nothing is 4.